Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Nursecast. So, today we are going to be talking about a very interesting time in my life where my hair was, in fact, falling out and my scalp was on fire. Not literally, but it might as well have been. So, let's rewind. When I was 4 years old, my cousin put a relaxer in my hair. She chemically straightened my hair. My mom was getting ready to get married, and she was blessed with the responsibility of getting me ready for my mom's wedding. I have 4C hair, which is amongst one of the more coarser hair texture. When I say coarse, it is not meant to be harsh. I am simply speaking in facts. It is thicker, and it does take more time and effort to manage, loosen, and soften. The coils are tighter. It is what it is. It's my hair, and that's how I'm describing it. So it was hard for her to manage. I'm not saying this with any resentment, anger, or animosity. I'm not looking back on this thinking, oh, she ruined my life. I wish she would have never. No, no, no. I'm speaking about this in a truthful and transparent and vulnerable approach, simply put. So, that being said, at that time, and unfortunately still now, but less, straight hair is what was expected. It was almost a coming of age to get a relaxer. It was just one of those things. You just felt prettier when you had straight hair. And it's not at all something that should be celebrated. It's not at all something that should be placed on a pedestal. It was something society told young Black women, and it was something that we felt we needed to conform to. And so when I say there's no resentment, anger, or animosity, I'm able to look back with wisdom, with a sense of understanding, and express that I see why she did it. And there are, as a result, a number of negative things that took place as a result. First and foremost, at 4, I am being told indirectly that my natural state is not accepted. My hair in its most natural form is not accepted. Me in my most natural state is not accepted. From that point, at that age where I am very impressionable, at that age where I am supposed to be taught self-respect, I am being taught the opposite in certain respects. That being said, as I'm getting older, I am dealing with trying to keep up with my hair. My 4C hair growing, very tight coils, right underneath of bone straight hair, because it's chemically straightened, it almost guarantees breakage if I'm not getting my touch-up relaxer to touch up the roots, to have it match the bone straight hair. It's going to break. I'm 4. This is not something that I understand. This is not necessarily something that my mother condoned, so it's also something that my mom is trying to keep up with as well. The older I get, the more frustrating it is because I'm beginning to understand. I'm beginning to get to an age where I am paying closer attention to my appearance. I'm paying closer attention to my features. I want to look pretty. I want to seem cute. I want the guy that I have a crush on to notice me. So my hair needs to be straight. It needs to be styled. Do you understand? Like, it can't be me. It can't be my natural hair. That's unacceptable. Do you understand? That is what I was taught indirectly. Please, I'm not trying to put out there that my family told me that I'm not acceptable. So, as I'm approaching middle school, high school, I'm not liking this process. I'm not liking the frustration that comes with not being able to get my hair done on time. Obviously having to be completely dependent on my mother's schedule. She's trying. But I'm like 14. I can't get in my car and drive to the hair salon to go get my hair done. So it got to a point where we had to stop getting a relaxer. It was destroying my scalp. I started getting welts in my hair, in my scalp. It wasn't just dandruff. It was like scabs. When the hairstylist would look into my hair, like she'd look at my scalp and she'd be like, "Is everything okay at home?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." It was bad. So we stopped the relaxer altogether. And now my hair is really breaking off. Now I am not at all pleased with what I look like. I am in a very insecure state in my life. I don't feel girly. I don't feel feminine. We're going to the braids. Braids have renewed me. I'm refreshed. I feel like a new girl. I then became heavily dependent on the braids. I then became defined by the braids. You wouldn't dare see me out in public without my hair being braided in some capacity. Braids as in extensions. All right? For those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about. I loved it, but then the braiding hair started destroying my scalp. My scalp, my God, was trying to tell me, listen, you were perfectly fine the way I sent you out into the world, baby girl. Leave that extra stuff alone. Now, I'm not saying all of this to frown upon people who do get relaxers, weaves, braids. Do it. Live your best life. This is my journey, my story, and how I came to the locks, and why I respect that journey, and why I want to share it, because it's really ultimately less about the hair and more about self-respect and self-love. You can do whatever you want to do with your hair, but if you don't love and respect and appreciate yourself, it's not going to matter. You're always going to look in the mirror and be like, who is this? I don't like her. Period. So now I have to stop wearing braids. I am even more insecure because I've always been defined by features that didn't inherently, naturally belong to me. Always. I'm in college now, and I am forced to get to know my hair. I did not like it. I rejected it. So I kept looking for easy styles. I kept trying to feel pretty. I kept trying to feel cute. I had no patience. I didn't know how to take care of my natural hair. So it started breaking. I contributed to the damaging of my hair. What a journey, y'all. So during this time, during this phase in my life, I sought out my grandmother and my mother's advice. And I was like, I'm just going to put the braids back and deal with the repercussions. Maybe I just have to look into human hair. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the solution. And my grandmother's like, why would the solution be to steer even further away from you? This issue runs significantly deeper. Stay away from that. Get to know this version of yourself. This is the closest you've ever been to you. Ugh. Y'all ever get advice and it makes so much sense that it just disgusts you? You're like, that's not what I wanted to hear. I would have preferred to wallow a little bit more. Thank you, grandmother. But yeah, she was absolutely right. So she did help me with my hair. She did help me with the detangling and the moisturizing and the maintaining of the moisture and everything that I needed to learn way sooner. I was learning it in my early 20s. It's never too late. But I mean, I also felt like I needed to have that process. I felt like I gained such a massive amount of respect for myself. Truly, truly coming into myself. And I was just walking around with my curly fro, my curly hair, my hair, me, and it felt beautiful. You know? When I stopped denying myself, when I stopped rejecting myself, it just felt spectacular. And then I wanted to get creative. I'm like, can we try this natural style? Can we try this natural style? Because look at me. Look at me. So I always wanted locks. But again, there's a rough stage when it comes to locks. And if I was already struggling with my natural hair in its complete natural state, then I steered clear of the locks. I would just admire the locks from a distance. And I started dating my husband, and he was like, "You just need to just go ahead and do it. Like just do what you want to do, because you don't want to get to a point in your life where you're like, oh, I wish I would have just." You know what I'm saying? Like, that was perfect. Like, I don't want to get to a point where I was like, I was so insecure. I didn't like myself. I didn't like my hair. So here I am at 63 with more braids and no edges, no hair in the front of my, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't want to have that regret. He made a solid point. So I started my locks, and they were super teeny, teeny, tiny small. Now look at it. From getting a relaxer at the age of 4 to walking around with locks comprised of my natural hair. It's stunning, and I feel powerful. I wanted to share this in more than one capacity. So what I did was I wrote graphic novels, and it's about this young woman, Anaya, who needs to master her skill set. Her skill set is actually superpowers. And she had no idea she had these abilities. She just, there was an unfortunate traumatic experience that brought them to the forefront. Every single story involves, an individual going through a growth process. And when she finally gets to the point where she reaches her maximum potential, or not even potential, her most mature state of her powers, her locks simultaneously grows as she glows purple. I don't know if y'all can see my purple glowing light here, but I wanted to do that because I wanted to portray that you are your most powerful when you are in your most natural state. When you've chosen not to conform, but you've chosen to come into yourself. You're untouchable. You know who you are. No one else can tell you. No one else can define you. So that entire journey means quite a bit to me. It means a lot to me. And I wanted to find a creative and unique and, storytelling way to share that with you guys. So I would love for you to, one, support the graphic novel. All of the links are in the caption. And two, we are in the process of turning it into a movie, or I'm not even going to say anything else, a movie. I would love for you guys to support that campaign. Again, the link is below. I appreciate y'all. If you guys want a signed copy, just screenshot your donation and send it to me via the DMs on my Instagram. All the information is below in the caption. Thank you guys so much for listening to this very vulnerable story. I appreciate it.